You're listening to an episode of the Abigail Pugh podcast with, you guessed it, Abigail Pugh. I'm an introverted mama who took my online business from 0 to 7 figures in 15 months selling my own digital products on social media. And guess what? I did it all with my 3-year-old daughter no less than 3 feet away from me at all times. Now I'm bringing you everything I've learned about building a wildly profitable online business that supports your life while allowing you to truly live it. Get ready for raw, honest conversations with entrepreneurs making thousands per month selling their own digital products and people just like you who ditch self-doubt to create the life they've always wanted. If you're ready to make more money, have more impact, and still have time for the things that matter most, you're in the right place. Grab your sneakers, head out on your hot girl walk, and let's dive in. Hello and welcome back. Today is going to be a solo episode of me talking to myself. Just kidding. I really try to just sit down and record these solo episodes as if I'm chatting with a friend over coffee. But in all seriousness, I have been struggling to sit down and record this episode because I feel like a total fraud telling you this, and I'm laughing because I laugh when I'm nervous. It's a lovely quality I have, but it literally just feels embarrassing to share. And I know that comes from me just being so hard on myself and feeling like everything I do needs to be perfect. But I have always shared the highs and the lows of my journey because I feel strongly that it's basically false advertising not to, right? I mean, Instagram is such a small piece of someone's life, but it's so easy to only show the good stuff. And I don't ever want that to be me. Yes, I've had some amazing highs over the past 2 years, but I've also experienced some of my lowest of lows. And I have always shared that with you guys. So a little backstory from the beginning of this journey, I used to set daily monetary goals for my business, right? And, they would gradually get bigger. And at one point, I had a goal to hit $2,500 a day. And if you're new here, I sell low ticket digital products under $197. I've had some that are higher, but like in my shop all the time, $197 is basically the highest that they go. So I need volume to hit that number. And I noticed that I very gradually started attaching my worth to my daily sales, and it wasn't good for me. And I even teach my students that ebbs and flows are totally normal, but I wasn't allowing that for myself. So earlier this year, I kind of pivoted a bit and made my new goal no $0 days. And it's crazy to even say this out loud, but I went 613 days without having a $0 day for my digital product sales, that is, right? Like I don't count affiliate payouts or any of my other sources of income when tracking this. So just for transparency's sake, this is only in regards to my digital products. So I went 613 days without having a $0 day. And it's funny because I shared that on my stories on Sunday, July 21st. And the next day, so Monday, July 22nd, I broke my streak of no $0 days and I had a $0 day. When I tell you that I spiraled, I cannot even explain the level of low that I went to that day, right? Like my brain was trying to convince me that I was a fraud. Why would people want to learn from me? How can I call myself an educator if I can't even do it myself? And on and on. It was such a bad day for me. And on top of that, I checked my sales and my emails before I did my money-making task for that day, which I usually try to do my money-making task first thing in the morning before checking anything. So I'm just like in a nice and abundant headspace, but I didn't that day, of course. And the first thing I saw when I woke up that morning was that one person had canceled their subscription to my Rich Girl community, which obviously people can cancel whenever they want. I don't want them to feel like they have to stay if it's not for them. But it really just felt like this gut punch, right, when I woke up. And of course, this happened when I was on the menstrual phase of my cycle. Of course. And it's funny because logically, my brain knows why I didn't make any sales that day. I took probably a week off from selling my digital products the way I usually do. And I focused more on talking about my free offers like my freebie and this podcast. And we had family in town, so I wasn't working as much or as focused as I usually am. So it made logical sense that I didn't make a sale that day, right? Or that my sales were lower the few days before. But that's, of course, not what my brain was seeing that day, right? My brain was spiraling and trying to convince me that this was it for me and my business and the jig was up, right? All that to say, I realized that I've still been attaching so much of my worth as a human to how well my business does financially, or like how many days in a row that I've been able to maintain no $0 days. And I'm here to remind myself and you that that is such bullshit. Like, I'm calling BS on it, and I am working so hard to stop doing that because it's so damaging and just such a lie, right? So many people out there practically flaunting their success and never showing the hard or the low moments. I can see why my brain is doing this, right? It's so easy to play the comparison game, and I am over it. So I took the following day to kind of just be, right? And like let my brain rest a bit, or, as much as my self diagnosed ADHD will allow it to. And it was actually the day that my daughter and my husband came to visit me at my co-working space. And I don't know, it was just like the exact day that I needed. It was also day one of me being in my follicular phase of my cycle, where my brain kind of switches into brain dumping and being really excited about planning stuff. So I'm not going to lie, that helped a lot too. But then on Wednesday, I came up with a plan to do what I always do when I'm feeling low. And that is serving my people, serving my community, making it about anything other than myself. And based off of what I was seeing in my DMs and my community, a lot of people were struggling with digital product sales as well. And again, logically, my brain knows why. It's the end of summer where people are on their phones less. It's a crazy, intense election year and like more historical events happening. I mean, everyone's nervous system right now is probably shot. I know mine is. So it makes sense that people aren't buying as much right now, but it's still so easy to let it freak you out. And people can feel your energy and your content, right? I talk about this all the time with my students. So if you are feeling the weight of the world right now, I can pretty much guarantee your content is being affected by that, which also would make sense why your sales might be affected, right? All that to say, I decided to host a 7-day, $7 sales challenge, right? Where I will be emailing you guys for 7 days straight, a single task each day to hopefully help you generate more sales and to just kind of have some freaking fun again. My good friend Colleen over at No Shame Sales Game over on Instagram actually started this new reel series, and it's all about making business fun again, right? And she's so freaking right. Like, yes, there is always a time and a place for the serious side of business, but like, that doesn't mean you can't have fun with it. So that's exactly what this challenge is. I literally wrote the sales page in 30 minutes, had it listed in my Stand store 4 days after coming up with the idea. And at the time of recording this episode, which I filmed 2 days after opening the doors, there are already 360 of y'all signed up for this challenge, which tells me that honestly, we all needed this. And yes, you can still join the challenge if you haven't already. It's literally $7 because I didn't want money to be the deciding factor for anyone who needed this boost, right? And I would love to have you. Shameless plug, the link to join the challenge is in the show notes below. Now, before I get back to watching Simone Biles at the Olympics, I wanted to give you a list of a few things to do when you are feeling low in your business and or if sales are down, because inevitably it's going to or already has happened to all of us. First and foremost, sync your damn cycle to your business tasks. I know this word is overused and like screams ChatGPT, but it is a game changer. I mean, like, did you know that the structure of your face literally changes during the ovulation phase of your cycle to make you look and feel prettier? And like, obviously, this was probably intended for us to be more attractive to males so that we can keep having all the babies. But the way I see it is that this is literally the perfect phase to film your talking head videos and your B-roll for your content so you feel hot and you feel good because your audience will pick up on that energy. And I actually have an entire podcast episode on this with my friend who is an expert on this. You can find that on episode 5 of my podcast, and I'll link it below in the show notes for you as well. Next, and this one is definitely more practical, but remember that you don't always need to find new customers, and that you can also sell to your current/past customers in your audience with something additional that can help them, right? Like, these people already trust you since they've bought from you previously, so selling to them won't be as hard. My challenge, for example, yes, I do have some people that have never bought anything from me signing up, but a majority of the people that have joined are past students, and I created this challenge specifically for them, right? Like, there's no training part to it. There is no Q&A. It is just the challenge. And obviously, you need to have the phases of audience growth to continue growing your business, but you don't always need to be in that phase of growth, and it's perfectly okay to sell to the audience you already have. Just make sure that what you're selling them is something that they are either asking for and or kind of like the next steps that they need in their journey, right? Like you can't create a product that you like already created in a new way. You need to create something new for them that can help take their journey to the next step. So let's say your first digital product was like a PDF guide, right? Now you could do a 7-day challenge. You could do a 10-day challenge, like something fun to help them apply all of that knowledge that they have already learned. And it's fun for your audience. It's fun for you. And it's just like an exciting new thing that you can test out. Okay, honestly, I could probably come up with like 10 to 15 things right now for this list, but I'm getting this episode to my podcast editor pretty late this week. So I'm just going to do one more, and that is to audit how much you have actually been selling. Sometimes, even for me, I think, oh, why am I not making as many sales? And then I realize, oh, I'm not selling every day. And funny enough, if you aren't selling daily, you probably won't make digital product sales every single day, right? And my Instagram friend, Sun Yi, who will be on the podcast later this year, says it best. Marketing is saying one thing 100 times, not saying 100 things at once. And that's what you need to do every single day. Say the same thing over and over again in different ways. That's what marketing and selling is. And I know it can feel repetitive, but remember, your audience doesn't see all your content, and nobody, except maybe your mom, pays as close attention to your content as you do. Perfect example of this. After my $0 day last week, I literally posted 3 reels that I've already posted before because I know they work and I know people resonate with them, and I'm right back into my groove, and I haven't had another $0 day since the one I had on Monday. Now, before I sign off, I do want to make a note that I still think goal setting is very important, right? I still have a goal to have no $0 days. And now I'm on day 6 of no $0 days. But what I won't be doing anymore is attaching my worth to that goal, right? Like not hitting a goal doesn't define me or you. It just gives us something to work towards. And that's my exact plan moving forward. Love you, mean it, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you learned anything from this episode, I would love it if you could share it over on your Instagram stories and tag me at Abigail Pugh. Until next time, love you, mean it.